I was genuinely surprised by how much interest my last video on resistance bands got. This surprised me because bands are actually a small part of my overall training. Calisthenics are my base, sandbags scale things up, and resistance bands dial things down. The video sparked a lot of the same questions, but what do you actually do? So if you haven't seen the first video, here's a short breakdown. I train arms because I've learned how important they are for performance. I don't directly target arms during calisthenics or sandbags, but they do still get worked. What I do is isolate arms using resistance bands with short, controlled pump or burnout sessions a few times a week. I emphasize unilateral work and neutral grips. After dealing with long bouts of tendonitis, I realized there had to be a way to train arms that was effective without beating up my joints. That's how I landed on resistance bands. If you don't know why, watch the first video. The link is in the description. All right, let's get into it. My exact arm workout breakdown. How often and how long? Frequency is usually 2 to 4 times per week. The duration of each workout is 10 to 15 minutes, and intensity is close to failure, but never sloppy. This is not a standalone arm day. This is tissue, tendon, muscle, and joint work layered on top of calisthenics, sandbags, and grappling. Before exercises, these rules matter more than the movements. Aim for unilateral work whenever possible. Do not skip out on neutral grips. Don't use momentum and focus on tension. If the band goes slack, the rep doesn't really count. This is the backbone of my band burnouts. I usually perform 3 supersets back to back. The pattern is simple. Elbow flexion, elbow extension, and shoulder raises. Or more simply, curls, pushdowns, and lateral raises. The trickiest part is choosing the right band. I try to cap sets at around 30 reps. If I go past that, I move up in resistance. First up is a single arm neutral grip band curl. Elbow slightly in front of your body, palm facing inward, and aim for a slow stretch at the bottom. I usually do 12 to 30 reps to near failure. I'll slightly rotate my wrist out for better band stability, but that's optional. Immediately, I go into single arm neutral grip band tricep press downs. Elbows are pinned, full lockout with control. Again, aim for 12 to 30 reps. Immediately after that, I go into single arm lateral band raises. Again, aiming for 12 to 30 reps. Your rest happens while the other arm is working. Repeat this again for 2 to 3 rounds. This pairing alone trains your biceps, triceps, brachialis, elbow stability, and your side delts. Anchoring matters a lot. Make sure there's tension before the first rep even starts. I often use double anchors, looping the band around a midpoint to keep constant resistance. Unilateral work is not always possible. When that's the case, I'll use a stick. Bicep curls with both arms, tricep pushdowns with both arms, but I still keep unilateral, one arm lateral raises. For the lateral raises, positioning matters. Some people feel a better stretch with the band behind their back or out in front or slightly altered grip. Experiment and find out what works for you. Honorary resistance band mentions. These are harder movements that noticeably increase arm size, joint strength, and durability during harder training blocks. I don't treat these as fluff, I use them strategically. First one is single arm band assisted pull-ups. This one doesn't get talked about enough. Even though it's a pull-up, the arm does a lot of work, especially the biceps, brachialis, and forearms. The band reduces the total load, which lets me control the bottom position and keep tension through the entire rep. Doing these one arm at a time forces shoulder and elbow stability you don't normally get with bilateral pull-ups. I keep reps low here, usually 3 to 6 reps per side for about 3 sets. Band-assisted forearm curls. This idea came to me after noticing the forearm pump I got from dead hangs. Forearms work harder during wrist flexion, but you can't curl full body weight. So what I did is I added resistance bands that assist me enough to allow a strict wrist curl while still hanging. What helps me glide my grip across the bar easily are these microfiber cloths. I usually zip tie these to the bar and I start curling. I do these at the end of a session, slow and controlled. You can also use chin-up grip for these. These help build up a lot of grip endurance and build those dense forearms that don't disappear when they're relaxed. The last one is forearm stick curls. Pin a resistance band under both feet and grip a stick. I do these behind my back with palms facing up or out in front with palms facing down. When I do stick curls, I keep my thumb over the bar instead of wrapping it underneath. That small change increases wrist flexion and shifts more work into the forearms. I'll rotate these into my band burnout circuits, either alongside curls, pushdowns, and lateral raises, or a replacement of one of the movements. They're easy to scale, easy on the joints, and they're brutally effective when done right. For these, I aim for much higher reps, closer to 30. These honorable mentions aren't mandatory. Some weeks I rotate one in, some weeks I skip them entirely. Other times I use them when I want more arm stimulus without the joint stress. This is how I target arms with resistance bands. There's a lot of controversy around resistance bands, but for practicality and joint longevity, they're hard to beat. As always, let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you for watching.